Did you know the government finally admitted UFOs are real?
No, they didn't. At least not at the recording of this video. And who spells like that? Is this someone recently fired?
Or is this a new hire?
So you guys know that I enjoy a bit of high strangeness. I enjoy things that are a bit fringe, a bit out there. On this episode of the Higher Frequency Network, we're going to have a conversation with Greg Bishop, author, host of Radio Mysterioso, about why people diss the disclosure movement.
We're looking at something. I don't want to be told what to think, especially about this, because if I'm told by an authority how to frame this, then that's all I'm ever going to see.
I'm Renee, and this is the Higher Frequency Network. All right, so you guys know that I enjoy a bit of high strangeness. I enjoy things that are a bit fringe, a bit out there, right? I got to tell you guys, things did not go super smoothly trying to get this interview together with Greg Bishop. It was as if someone or something didn't want us to talk. Weird electrical interferences.
Like an electromagnetic field near it, or...
And unbeknownst to me, my camera had even gone out at one point. Strange. Disclosure is a big topic. I mean, huge. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk to Greg. Greg Bishop is the author of It Defies Language. It's a collection of essays about the UFO subject matter and related phenomena. Now, the very first chapter discusses the U.S. government's involvement, as well as the author's personal experience with agents and military personnel. So there's a lot of text in there about historical perspectives, theories, and opinions. Greg is also a longtime associate working with the Coast to Coast AM radio show, America's favorite late-night talk show about the weird, paranormal, and bizarre. And he has been working on a great project there, the Art Bell Vault, where you can get shows on demand streaming on your desktop or mobile. New shows every week. That's some good work there, Greg. Lots of Art Bell fans, lots of George fans, lots of Coast to Coast AM fans. I know I grew up one. Mr. Bishop is also the author of Project Beta, the story of Paul Bennewitz, national security, and the creation of a modern UFO myth. It's a shocking, true account of an electrical physicist living in New Mexico that became convinced that lights in the sky were extraterrestrials. He reached out to the government, and unbeknownst to him, the author of the first book on the infamous Roswell incident, Mr. Bill Moore, had been hired by a group of intelligence agents to keep tabs on Mr. Bennewitz while they ran a psychological profile and supposed disinformation campaign on the unsuspecting physicist. So, yeah, sometimes scandalous tales of disinformation, corruption, and exploitation can be in the hands of the intelligence communities. This is why I thought it would be a great idea to talk to Mr. Greg Bishop. Greg was doing some traveling. He's back and forth to a lot of conferences these days, working on UFO research, UAP research. And I caught him when he was in the car. Well,
I've been home for like the past half hour.
Oh, shut up! I thought you were still in the car.
I'm lying in bed talking.
Oh, wow. Should I get my credit card out?
Sure.
But a lot of people put the dis in disclosure. A lot of humans, or maybe even some non-humans, are frustrated with the rate at which the answer to the biggest question, are we alone, is being answered. Are we expecting government and institutions to answer the question for us, or do we already know? Well, talking about disclosure is a sticky subject now, don't you think?
It's kind of a waste of time.
So, can I quote you to say that we think, well, do we think that? Do you think that? Do I think that? Is disclosure a waste of time? I mean, the title of this...
For the most part, yeah. I mean, if you're looking for Dad to tell you what's true at the end, you're barking up the wrong tree.
So, dissing disclosure. This is the title of this talk, this video.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people really are at that point right now because I think they've grown impatient. They've grown frustrated. I mean, you've written extensively about the UFO phenomenon. Do you think the disclosure movement is an attempt at truth, or is it another layer of deception? I mean, and who lies behind all of that deception? It's weird. It's very weird. So, like right now, right, everyone went nuts in the past couple of years about Grusch and Elizondo and Corbell pushing the disclosure narrative forward. I mean, did you see them originally as truth seekers or part of a controlled effort? What do you think?
That's a lot of people in one sentence to paint with one brush.
It is, but I feel like everybody's doing that, But so here's the other thing.
You can't lump those people together because they all have different agendas and different ideas about what they're doing, I think. And different goals. And I don't even know what some of those goals are. There's no way for me to know.
Right. There's no way for us to know a lot of these things, I think, unless we have a certain clearance.
My absolute basic idea is what I've said before.
Can you repeat that? You cut out.
Yeah. What I've said before is that disclosure is like asking the parent that always lies to you to tell you the truth just this one time. And if you don't hear what you want to hear, they're lying. And it's a conundrum. I mean, how can you get out of that?
Well, if Dad said no, I always went to Mom. Right?
Yeah, well, there's no mom to go to, really. I think the only thing you have left is to go to do your own research and come to your own conclusions and keep your mind open and be ready to change your mind, because I don't think a human institution moves fast enough to keep up with whatever this might be. It's not made to conform to human institutions in the way we look at things. We just get little bits and pieces of it, and I think that whatever powers it be, the government only gets little pieces of it too. I think part of whatever happened in 2017 with that article in the New York Times by Keene and Blumenthal, and with Elizondo in it, was in part it was trying to crowdsource UFO research, like make it less stigmatized, so that people with degrees and discernment and hopefully the wherewithal, that they would study this instead of 50, 60, 80 years of people mostly with no training trying to figure this out on their own.
You and I are both big fans of Vallée, right? Jacques Vallée, right? And he has long argued that the UFO behave more like a psychosocial phenomenon. Wouldn't you agree, right? That there's something going on in the consciousness of our minds, in the collective consciousness, that might be... Is this a construct from our minds? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think I think it's anything from 1% to 99% a construct of our minds. Meaning something comes in and we don't know what to do with it, so we send it down channels that make sense to us. That doesn't make it wrong, but it makes it, it's more like you can't touch it with the or I can't categorize it with the tools and language and concepts you've been given, so you make it conform to that.
It defies language. I said it defies language. That sounds about right.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not... We're looking at something that we have to make sense of with our toolbox. And our toolbox does not include everything that can encompass what it is. It just kind of gets bits and pieces of it and fills in a lot of blanks. And I'm pretty sure that there's something, in fact, I'm certain that there's something that's not us that interacts with us. Now, past that, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's from another planet or from another dimension or whatever the hell. These are concepts that we came up with. So, of course, we think about it in those ways. I have a friend that said something really intelligent about this. He said, those magic eye artworks or prints that used to be very popular in the 90s or whatever, where you stared at this like field of junk until a 3D picture came out. Well, the thing is, you keep looking at it and trying to pull a pattern out of it, and it doesn't work until you just stop trying.
Right.
And you look at it in a way that you've never looked at it before, and people can't really describe it to you. You can't tell people, I guess you can tell people defocus or cross your eyes or whatever,
right.
But that doesn't work for everybody.
That's true.
But what he said was, we need to look at this in a different way that we haven't thought of yet. And I think that's and maybe we don't have the capacity to think or look in that way yet. I don't know. Maybe we never will. Kind of like, you can't see infrared, but it does things. You can feel it, I guess, as heat. But you can't really see things with it. Or we know it exists, but we don't have the apparatus to, see an infrared or whatever.
I think we have... I was just...
Same thing.
Okay, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it's just like you triggered something in me with that idea of pattern recognition and then letting go of seeking pattern, letting go of seeking definition, right? Because patterns, we're looking for something familiar to compare it to, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're just trying to make sense out of something in a way that makes sense to a human brain. And even, AI might not even be able to do that because we've taught it to look in the way and categorize in the way we think of it. But hopefully, if you throw enough data in there, maybe patterns will start to emerge that we didn't even know were there before. I don't know. But yeah, we have to, but I think on a real basic level, we just have to look at the issue in a different way than we ever have before. And I don't know what that is. And I don't even know if gathering all the data we possibly can is going to give us that clarity. I think gathering reactions and emotional data and witness testimony that doesn't just worry about color and shape and size and speed. What was an actual person's reaction? How did it change their life? How did it make them feel? No UFO investigator that I know of, there might be some, goes to talk to somebody about whatever happened to them and asks them, how did it make you feel? How did it affect your, what were your emotions? What, did it change your life in any way? Did stuff happen, strange things happen before or after that don't usually happen to you? All these little data points nobody picks up. And I think concentrating on gathering some of that data it'll change things. And if nothing else, we get a little better idea of how to help people deal with a strange event so that their lives don't get turned upside down.
It seems to me if, I'm not MUFON trained, but I hope to be one day, right, as an investigator. I would love to, dig into their protocol and involve myself and assist people, help people. And I feel, though, those are the kinds of questions that I would put in my own protocol as a student of psychology, as a student of humanity. It's about how we feel and how we shift and have lasting change that gets us anywhere. And isn't that the same thing as, like you said, the magic eye? If we get away from our patterns and something new comes up, well, we've got something creative and different, and that's where innovation and change happens. Otherwise, it's the same old pattern. And here's something that broke that pattern. Interesting. I like your point with that. I like your point.
So I don't know what we have to do, but I think it lies in that unlooked at data set or the ungathered data set about human reactions. Because, we're an instrument, but we're not a scientific instrument.
It's that
but we still pull in information and we still pull in data and we deal with it, but we don't deal with it like a camera or a tape recorder or a film camera would, or whatever, even something that counts that detects cosmic rays or particles or something like that. Those are just kind of extensions of our senses too. But we take in a lot richer amount of information about something than that we're aware of, and I think that if we start concentrating on that other part that I just talked about, that I think other patterns might emerge. I'm really almost certain of that. I mean, I could be totally wrong and full of crap, and we have to just stuff more data into databases, but or at least materialistic data. But I think the emotional data is something that the oblique data is something that has to be. I would push for that. In fact, I'm trying to push for that. It's part of a talk I'm going to give in a few months.
I think Star Trek Next Generation fans would argue that data has no emotion. Right? Hey guys, if you've made it this far, maybe you'll be interested in catching part 2 as soon as it comes out. This is Renee with the Higher Frequency Network. Thanks for sticking around. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time.